All right, we're here.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. I think there's like 44 people here at the Open. Thank you guys for
Amazing.
showing up early.
Thank you.
Awesome to
All
see
right.
you,
Awesome.
everyone on all three of our channels at once. This is the
Yeah.
first for us. Well, we did the short introduction, and thanks to the really positive response in the comments to that. It's been lots of discussion about who we represent, the three greatest tennis players ever.
That one
We
might be
know
my
which one of us
favorite
is
comment thus far.
Djokovic and
That one,
Nadal and Federer. You can guess in the comments why not. Great
yeah,
to see
that one
everyone.
actually was also quite interesting because I just finished watching like the Netflix new tennis thingy. I think Match Point or something was called, and then I go back and check out studios like that comment. Like, okay, then.
Yeah, I'm about
And
halfway
lots of good
through
ideas
it.
on what we can debate in the future.
I thought it was interesting because Nadal's left-handed, and I happen to be the one left-handed person, so I guess
There
I'm
you go.
Nadal.
Definitely.
All right, we should probably start with some intros. I think most of the people here know at least one of us, probably more than one of us, but we should probably start with who we are, what we do, and how we got into e-ink tablets to start. So I'll start with myself. If you don't know me, my name is Brandon Boswell. I'm a full stack engineer and a product designer. I lead user experience at Dorsata, which is a women's health startup focused on improving delivery of babies, so helping doctors deliver healthier babies. And so my use case with e-ink and how I got started is I've been a Moleskine user for a very long time. It's a general sketchbook of mine and where I get the things out of my head and onto paper so that I can better understand them. And the big challenge I had was I knew what I was thinking and I could see my notebook, but the other folks on my team couldn't. And so they were only getting part of the story and they weren't really able to be active participants. So I got into e-ink so that I could share what I was doing and have a more active discussion with my team. So, Kit?
Yeah, I'm a teacher. For me, I got into Remarkable because I was a bit sick of a paper planner. And so, one of the use cases we're going to talk about is actually using it for planning your weekly lessons. And for you're a lecturer as well, and you know how useful it is for planning. And that is, for me, it is my main use case, and the Remarkable did that perfectly well. But I just, I absolutely loved it. It was a game changer to just, not have to carry around, not have to think which notebook it was in, but to be able to have these infinite page notebooks. Fantastic, absolutely wonderful. And I decided to make a review of the Remarkable, and the feedback was positive, and here we are.
The rest is history, right?
Yeah, here we are. We're about to have the great debate, which is massive.
Yeah,
Deal.
and my name is Voya, and my background is actually 3D character animation and video game development. And then I started branching off into tons of different things. But that's also the thing that actually drove me to Remarkable One because of its Kickstarter campaign, because I backed it up back in 2016 and then got it in 2017. Because when I saw like digital paper thing, whenever I do development, I literally have a box full of A4 notebooks because my thought process when brainstorming, and I hate that word, but still, when doing development and logic development and figuring things out, it really helps me to write things down to keep track of my thoughts and see if that works. And then I just kept having more and more notebooks upon notebooks. And exactly as Kit said, it's like, where is this whole thing? And and it's exactly the same case as with Kit. I got Remarkable One, couldn't find any satisfactory reviews anywhere at that point, and I just did my first stuff, and here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Well, we should probably talk about that. So why are we here? So like so many of you all out there, I was a big fan of Voya and Kit's work. And so I reached out to them with an idea, which is I believe that there's currently not a perfect e-ink tablet. I don't think there's a specific tablet that I could recommend uniformly to everyone. And so when people reach out to me and they ask, which tablet should I buy? It ultimately ends up being a discussion around, well, what is your use case? What are you doing? And that'll help inform the right tablet to kind of set you down the path of. And so I thought, what better way to help with that than to get three of us together? I think we each come from a slightly different angle of it. We each have our own perspectives. And let's take some specific use cases that people have sent in and let's discuss them. And let's talk about which tablets are strong in those areas, which tablets have some rough edges in those areas, and really kind of get 3 different perspectives and debate it out. And so, Kit, I think you're the debate person here. Can you give us the rules? Oh, did we lose Kit?
I think either Kit is really, really deep in thought or maybe frozen. I'm not sure.
Is he brainstorming right now?
Oh, no. I think it might be the brainstorm thing that set him off. Oh, no.
All right. I'll take the
You're still
debate.
going, buddy.
Oh,
Keep
no,
going.
there we go. Yes, you're back. Or not.
Maybe. He's kind of back. All right. I'll take the debate rules. The general idea here is we've each been given, let's see.
Am I back?
Will
Yes, you are.
Yeah, was it just me who went? I'm really sorry, everyone. Yeah, let's do the rules of the debate. Go on, then we can do this.
Yeah.
So we're here for the great debate, and basically we're going to do this like secondary school style, because that's my background. I'm a teacher, and when I want the kids to really learn something, I give them all a point to argue from. So we are going to advocate for each device. I've got the Boox Note Air 2 Plus. Well, I'm really, I'm advocating for all of the Boox devices. Really, I'm advocating specifically for the Note Air 2 Plus today, but really you could just see this as Boox platform from me. And Voya, you're going to...
Yeah, I'm going to be advocating the Supernote platform of both A5X and A6X, but in this concrete example, focusing on A5X because we're, 10.3-inch devices, so that makes sense.
Yep, and I'm going to be debating the Remarkable 2. There's only one now. I mean, I guess technically the Remarkable 1 fits in there as well, but yeah, I'll do the Remarkable 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wish they would make more devices. If they had a better range, I'd be so excited for them. But the rules of the debate, well, we got these different use cases. Yeah, mate, and yeah, I would be astounded, especially for drawing. The rules of the debate, well, there aren't many rules really. We're just going to each try and present the case for each of our devices, and we want to hear from you what you think. So when you see all the different use cases, you'll see a number. So if you want to, either live or in the comments later, if you want to actually give your opinion on who you think won each individual use case, then just go ahead and type a comment and start with the number of the use case that we're talking about. Okay, I hope that makes sense to everyone. Let us know if it doesn't. We'll crack on with that. Okay. Yeah, and some really good questions. We will have time to stop and do Q&A bit by bit as we go through. But from there, yeah, why do we pick these 3 devices? What we'll talk about next. Well, initially, the first title we had for this debate was the distraction-free free, and we wondered, right? Well, we'll debate for the Supernote, and we'll debate for the Remarkable, and we'll bring in the Kindle Scribe. And the Kindle Scribe, because one of the advantages of that is it doesn't do much. It's actually stuck to the table with its especially grippy things that everyone talks about. But I said, well, okay, but in the different use cases of the Kindle Scribe, I'm just gonna have to say, well, it's 300 DPI, and it's got a highlighter button on the pen, which of course it does, and that was about it. We kind of felt that I couldn't do a great job of advocating for the Kindle Scribe. There might be a great future for this device, but Voya chimed in and actually said, well, there are some absolutely fantastic things about the Kindle Scribe. So just want to give us a quick the other amazing features.
Well, the eraser is absolutely astonishing. I'm kidding. It's sorry. It's of course. I think that as a format, Kindle Scribe is just the hardware of it is properly made. It just really, really works well. And for anybody who actually worked a little bit with this device, it just is so good. But the problem is you hit that brick wall immediately. And the things that are good is that amazing writing latency, excellent, as Kid said, amazing writing latency, excellent 300 ppi screen coupled with an excellent front light, like a really, really good front light.
Yeah.
But the thing that really works is the screen surface and the combination of this pen, because this pen is super good with this device. It just feels really good. Reflections are fine. So basically, unfortunately, it's just sitting here on the side, and every 2-3 days I check for an update. Still nothing there. But I really have to say one more thing. Super duper quick startup time. So for example, I'm on a phone call, and I skim the devices here It's like,
So,
okay, Supernote takes time to start up, Boox takes time to start up. I keep them on an off timer. So it's going to be either Remarkable or this one. But this one, I reach out further, but like I more often reach out for Kindle Scribe to just jot down things as I would on a notepad, because that it can do. So for that, it works, but anything else, it's like a brick wall.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
mean, the Kindle Scribe for me is a tale of two halves. I would argue the best hardware in the business, 300 PPI, really great front light, like you guys said. And then when you get to the software side, it just can't do quite enough to be a serious contender at this point. Maybe one day. I have really high hopes
agree.
for it.
Well, I must say, I have been reading quite a lot on it, and I think it's the best Kindle you can buy right now. So if you know you're in a Kindle ecosystem, it is the best Kindle. It is nice to be able to write on it. That is nice, isn't it?
And just one last point, because that's a really good point. But that's the part that scares me, because it's the best Kindle. Will it motivate Amazon to actually develop it to be more than a Kindle that you can just scribble on? And yeah, that's the thing that we have to.
Yeah, have they got their audience? They've cornered the people who just want the Kindle, and you know those people don't necessarily know. And that's one of the things that I love about what we do, guys, is that actually telling people that look, there are these great devices out there, because they are fantastic. They're you know, game changer is a word that people use a lot, especially on YouTube. But from me, I just haven't looked back. I haven't. I did even try to use a paper notebook just for a little while, but recently, and I just was like, why would I? Why would I? Why? Okay, are we ready? I think we're ready. Is there any questions?
So that's actually a funny story. So like I got into e-ink kind of on accident. I had a bunch of people, I started researching it, and I went to the Remarkable subreddit. I asked, I was like, why do you use Remarkable? What does it do that a nice Moleskine notebook and a really nice pen can't do? And they said enough intriguing things that I ended up here. And so, yeah, I would say if you haven't tried it, give it a try. You can always return.
Yeah. And I don't know if the first thing you heard about it was the Remarkables adverts, because the Remarkables adverts, you know, are everywhere, and you know, so many people got brought into this by the Remarkable. Yeah, so it seems to be making sense. Loads of people saying hello from all over the world. Oh, Voya, what about the Lenovo Smart Paper? Why are we not advocating for the?
Well,
why is it not winning 3 today?
Well, because Lenovo Smart Paper is actually a device that's months away from being released. So even the stuff that I covered in my unboxing and first impressions, I didn't even know that beforehand, because there was some miscommunication. But even then, it actually performed like, okay, this performs like a finished device, until I went into the ecosystem accounts and reader side of things. Everything that's basically, it's like not even beta. That's like so early that there's no point in doing that yet. However, early signs are how shall I put it? Very promising. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, thanks so much. It is really interesting, and at least they're reaching out for feedback, I guess, before releasing. There's one comment really quickly, and we've got a lefty on the stream right now, and somebody asked, "What about how are the? Are there any things for left-handers?" I've lost the actual comment now. I was going to put it up, but we have a left-hander, and you know, do you have any issues? Just to really quickly give us are they okay for left-handers?
Yeah, I mean, generally, yes, they're all good for left-handers. I would say all of them are better than regular paper for left-handers, because as a left-hander, you smear everything as you write, if you write left to right, like we do here. And so in general, I'd say they all work really well. All the 3 major platforms have dominant handedness and adjust accordingly. I'd say the biggest thing is depending on how you posture when you write. In my case, I kind of lean over like this, probably due to trying to avoid smearing the ink that I've always smeared my entire life.
The habit, that you don't now need.
And so the thing that you will sometimes run into is this close document button here at the top left. On just about every device, I will hit that. And so if you're willing to close your toolbars for a distraction-free experience, which I happen to like in general, it works really well. If you want those tools and you're accessing your tools constantly, that's maybe the one thing I'd say to watch out for, and maybe give it a shot and see how it works for you. But in
Awesome.
general, they're all pretty close and they all work really well.
Great.
Cool.
Should we fire in? Are we all ready for the first one?
Yeah, let's do it. I guess one thing, keep dropping comments and questions into the
Absolutely.
chat.
We'll try
We're
and
gonna
get to
go
as many as we
through-
can.
Yeah, we're going to go through
I
about 2 use
apologize.
cases, and then we'll pause, and then we'll come back.
This is good.
Digital
Digital paper for the win for Southport.
It's true. It's true.
Absolutely.
I mean, using traditional paper is not
Thanks,
fun.
Wolf.
All right, let's hop into use cases. So the first one we've got here is the college student who is looking to replace a bunch of paper notebooks for note taking. I think Voya, you want to get us started with the Supernote experience there?
Yeah, so I'll just try the solo here and then exit the solo so that people can see. So I'm advocating Supernote here, and I just wanted to kind of test out a couple of things and just give like a practical example of things that you can do as a college or a high school student, doesn't matter. So let's say you're in a calendar and you have your schedule, if you filled it out or not. And for the day that you have of your classes, you also have the ability to just quickly add a new note or view the already made notes that you have. And then, for example, let's say that I have my class notes, and if I prepare them, the different tools that you have on the Supernote, for example, history class, physics class, whatever, let's say math, sociology, and things like that. Basically, you just prepare them as titles. So not only do you have like an overview as your notebook for that day grows, because you're basically building up your table of contents for that one. You also have keywords if you want to work with it, but you also have the, where is the first one? I guess here. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, you have the links, which are absolutely awesome because within the text itself, you can also reference a textbook or a specific page of a textbook that you might want to go. You can quickly go back to where you came from, and you can also reference different notebooks that you may have from another kind of a point. So for me, and also one other point was that it's extremely easy to simply insert a page from where you're at, which is a really important point as well, because you have absolutely no idea how much notes you're going to take during a class. So with a little bit of preparation, I think that this environment really, really lends itself super well for, not intended, lends itself really, really well for a college student because you can organize. And now with the screen sharing and with the, it's not out of beta yet, but it's definitely getting there. Yeah, the screen sharing thing works really, really well. You get the Google Drive now. Dropbox is already in, and they're coming up with OneDrive as well. And as soon as you get the big ones, the 3 big ones, that means that you can automatically you're no longer kind of confined to this kind of obscure ecosystem like a Boox Cloud, Remarkable Cloud, Supernote Cloud. Mm-hmm. No, you're stepping out of that environment and you're stepping into your existing workflow, whether it is Dropbox, Google, or OneDrive, Microsoft related. And for students, the OneDrive is the one that's really important because of the Microsoft Office pack and all of that kind of stuff. So, because Kit, I don't know for you guys, but for us in our schools, basically Microsoft Office environment, that's the standard. That's
everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the ability to actually just get this and slot it into that, that's once the OneDrive comes. It's not yet, but it's definitely on their map. And it's coming soon.
Really, really tough for it.
I guess one question there for you, Voya. Have you been able to get the Google Drive integration working in the beta?
Oh yeah, it really works really well.
I haven't had.
You didn't?
No, it won't get past the select folders for me.
Do you have a I'll talk to you about that. Maybe the 2-step key verification, maybe that or something. But for me, it just worked.
All right. Well, it's good to know that it's working.
It's got to be the Boox Note Air 2 for students, though, guys. I'm sorry. I'm advocating for it. I do think it is the right device, though. Come on, this is how this debate's got to go. Well, firstly, article mode. We've covered article mode loads on different videos, but article mode, if you're not initiated, is a way that you can actually, if you do have a large PDF, in columns or rows. You can select all kinds of different ways of just navigating through. So every page term will take you through these areas. And of course, if it's something like this, you can just do one area, you can just crop, and it's a permanent kind of crop, and you can annotate onto that this PDF just perfectly. Okay, so this is the thing for if you want to have all your PDFs, all your textbooks, all your work, and you want to annotate them as a student in your lectures. Well, this is the thing for you. And also, this is another super powerful use of this for students is having the book notebook, the split view here. Just one click, give me a doc and a notepad, and then it makes me a notebook which lives with this document. And now I can make this article mode so it goes top and bottom, or I can rotate the device. It is it's a fantastic device for students. And this, as I say, this lives in its own separate little folder in the home page. This book notebook lives in its own separate notes folder here, reading notebook. Here it is with the same name. Every time I'm in that book, that one click, and I get up that view, I get up that double page, that split screen view, and I can have my notes along with my textbook as I'm listening to my lecture. I can even record, ladies and gentlemen. You can't do that on those two devices. I can record. I can record my lecturer, okay, and I can have it played back. I can do voice notes that get linked in. It's a win for the. I hate to predict things, but it might get a bit competitive for me. But
did you do a lot of debates in school, Kit?
I just think that the lesson format is A+. Really, some of my favorite lessons are when we get to debate things in school. So I try and argue the remarkable after that for students.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time. I guess the big thing there is, where do you draw the line between focused, trying to jam out some work, and when do you actually switch over to a computer versus being on the tablet? I think the tablet is really about getting in touch with your thoughts, getting in touch with your notes, getting to that next step beyond just the thing that you wrote down, and really focusing in. Again, that's Kindle Remarkable marketing from the start. But I think it really is true. Like, when I'm at my Remarkable, I am not at my computer. I am not at my phone. I might throw in some headphones and some calm vibes, and then I'm just in this device. And I think that unlocks some thinking that I otherwise wouldn't. I think that's more on the creation side than on the note-taking side as far as notes for class. But that's where it gets nice. I guess pulling out of the debate a little bit, I think it's hard not to say that this is the Supernote when you think about a long-form document. Again, I'm going to fail at the debate, but I'm going to give my honest opinion.
You guys got to tell us. So number one, you tell us.
The big thing here is, if you're going to maintain a document for long periods of time, the ability to jump to those specific waypoints in the document, I think that's the most difficult thing with e-ink right now. Is in a physical notebook, you could thumb to a spot in 500 milliseconds. I think that's the most challenging thing with e-ink right now, is getting to a place that you want to get to spatially. And I think the Supernote, in my opinion, does that the easiest, allowing you to get to that physics notebook, to that math notebook, and jump around to specific pages.
Okay, well, it's between the Boox and the Supernote. I do agree. When you go to the physics page with your beautiful My Hero, I'm not advocating for this one. I'm not advocating for it. It's brilliant. The table of contents, I love using it. I've gone back to it as my daily driver recently, actually.
Although the one thing I will say about the Remarkable is, I think you can do legitimate notebooks for each subject.
Yeah,
and that way you've got each day, because you can switch between notebooks so quickly on the Remarkable with the top-down view, especially if you go with DDVK, and you can have it on a 2-finger gesture, which you switch between your last 2 notebooks. Really
another thing about the Remarkable, which is actually really important, is the battery life in standby is astronomically good, and the startup time is blisteringly fast compared to both the Supernote and this one. So yeah, from the standby, Supernote is super fast as well. That's not a problem. But so let me just go back to the last notebook. I think it just comes back into a notebook as well, like anybody else. Yeah, it does. So it's really fast. That's not a problem. But with the Remarkable 2, first of all, it doesn't have an option of auto shutting down, but it doesn't really need it because they've tweaked their battery performance to a true zero consumption in standby. And that's basically the only out of these three devices that's able to do that properly. Supernote is trying, but it's still seeping power. And then the worst thing that I can find for any of these devices is I haven't used it in 2-3 days. Try to power up, and the battery is dead.
Asleep on you.
Not just asleep. The battery's gone.
Hard sleep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The battery life is one of the main reasons to go e-ring for me. Like just the iTrain and the battery life, and any of them are good. Shall we go on to the second use case now, guys?
Well, one thing. So I mean, I use this every day for hours, and I don't even think about battery life. I think I charge once a week. I said this in one of my videos. Is I charge about once a week, I think, because I don't think about it. Basically, when it gets to about 10%, it'll show a little indicator and I'll plug in USB-C, and then I don't think about it again for another week.
Do you obsess about the 100% charging capacity like many other users do on Facebook group? No?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm mostly at my desk, so maybe I'm spoiled where I don't have to think about it. But it's a non-issue for me.
We lost Kit.
All right. Well, I guess I can't segue to Kit.
Segue to the second one.
Yeah. So our next use case is the busy professional who has tried an iPad as their primary device, but finds it a bit too distracting. And
Kit is back. Sorry.
Kit, I would argue that the Boox is probably the closest to the iPad. So I'm curious of your thoughts of the Boox for someone who found the iPad a bit too distracting.
Yeah, well, it isn't the distraction free, and I hope I'm back and good again.
Yeah, sorry, you're good.
It's the UK, what can I say?
Fire your internet provider.
And there is that issue when you turn it on. Almost always there's an audible notification, so you are going to have to put up with a bit of that. But I just think, so distraction free is about you managing your own expectations, your own use of the device. And I don't think so if it's somebody who's found an ink tablet a bit too distracting, then you can turn the sound off. But even so, I've got it off, and the sound was off, and the sound was right down, and it definitely did give me a notification. Yeah, maybe I've just not got these up. I mean, is there any way I can do better than this, guys?
Yeah, you just swipe down and you have two options. There's, if you go into settings, you should see more options somewhere around there. There should be a settings, and then you have, so there's two of them that I would put up. Mute button, so you can drag and drop the second icon in the lower part. You can tap on it, and so that one I use always, and the do not disturb is the most important one. So the do not disturb, yes.
Yeah, drag that one in there, or just go into settings and just turn it on and leave it on.
Oh,
that was the first thing I did.
Customizing your homepage, yeah. Do not disturb is on. Oh my word! And we can focus, and we can.
Well, now it's up to you. Now it's up to you to focus. The device isn't going to do anything to mess you up, but you still have all this stuff waiting for you right there.
Yeah. I always complain on my reviews, and I just play chess on it, and people are in the comments. You don't have to install chess app. It's totally true. Keep this thing for work. I think it's funny. Like one thing we do with these tablets, like when we get them, is we do things like show YouTube videos. And it's not because we're expecting people to want to watch YouTube videos on them, but what it is about the screen performance and how quick they're getting and how much better they're getting. And I'll just start with this one. So this is somebody who's tried an iPad for work and finds it too distracting. Absolutely, the iPad's a glorious device. Frankly, it is definitely Apple make the best iPads out there, I must admit.
Well, that's true.
The only one, in fact.
They really
do. The next one they're going to try and sell you is then the best one.
Then exactly, the best one ever. Yeah, absolutely. But the the fact that the books can do so much more, you find yourself finding more tasks to do with it. You know, I'm constantly finding more things. I'm constantly actually seeking things because I enjoy the e-ink experience so much. And what I would say for that person who's working at home, you know, who's working professionally and has tried that iPad is, if you wanted the functionality of iPad, you've got to go Boox, but then you'll live on this glorious e-ink panel, and e-ink definitely make the best e-ink panels. And it is a fabulous set of devices. And for work, you know, I just would never go back to not carrying an e-ink device.
But Kit, for example, you like your iPad, so you have experience and you have a workflow with it, right?
Yeah.
Do you find it tricky to find the line between what you want to work on the Boox platform device? So where is the line between the Boox and the iPad? Because it is an Android tablet and it is kind of crossing, but you have the benefit of this, benefit of that. So do you struggle with that, or do you have a clear line?
No, so there was a time, and I still do occasionally. It depends how I'm teaching it. I really enjoyed, especially during pandemic, and we were in school for a while, but we were still maintaining our distance. So we said we couldn't walk around in school, and I really liked the iPad at that point. And every lesson, pretty much, I had my iPad, which I was streaming to the screen, and I would use GoodNotes or Notability or whatever else I was trying out at the time, and I would teach, and it was glorious. And the kids actually really loved it. And actually, the reason I stopped doing that was because they sent me the paper, or the papier, and we'll maybe cover that in news in a little while. But that was a great thing for teaching and showing off in the classroom, because you could have this display up. And I sort of gradually started replacing. You know, before that I only had the Remarkable One, I think. So I was carrying iPad, Remarkable One, and now when I want to teach, I turn on my my books if I want to teach in that way, which I don't do every single lesson, because I don't think a great teacher is one that sits and you know, just talks over a thing and everyone's expected to write things down, etc. Especially not for physics, because, you know, science, we don't do experiments. But since having the books, I thought, well, everything that I want to do with the iPad, I can do on this, and I save my eyes and I give my eyes that rest, you know. And even in a busy teaching day, you spend enough time looking at the screen that your eyes just get that bit tired. And yeah, I just absolutely, since having the books, and especially since having the Boox Max Lumi, teaching on that was incredible as well. And I would say Boox devices, we haven't got teachers, but that's me, really, a busy professional that's tried using the iPad. But it wasn't my first use case. It wasn't what got me into it. It's just, as I say, if you buy Boox, you'll find it can do more, and then you'll find reasons to do more on it. And even now with the Ultra series, or the Ultra Tab Ultra that we have with the keyboard, you know, I found myself, so I've got to type an email. I've got my laptop there, but actually this email is going to take me 10 minutes to type, so I'm going to type it on an e-ink screen. And you know, the benefits are just there at the end of the day when you're not absolutely dry-eyed and headachy driving home.
And Brandon, for you, regarding the professional and all the remarkable thing?
Well, before we get into the remarkable, I'm going to take a hard stance on the iPad piece, because this was part of my journey as well, which is, I think about a year and a half ago, I was like, I'm going to get an iPad to work through my thoughtfulness and to sketch out my ideas as a replacement for my Moleskine. And I think what it did really well is it got me on this journey of how to think about this. But the writing experience on the iPad is awful. And I know I'm going to upset some people, and my apologies ahead of time, but I think the iPad is a really powerful piece of technology. I don't think it's a great thinking device. I think it's really great if you're a digital artist. I think there's some amazing things you can do in that space. But in a lot of other spaces, there's too much overlap, where I would rather make the decision of, am I fully focused on my computer and I'm going to be really efficient? I'm going to have keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to have window management. I'm going to have multitasking. I'm going to be really efficient, get in and get out. Or am I thinking and exploring a problem, and I need an intimate experience? And for me, I didn't start with the Remarkable. I started with the iPad, and then I went to the Boox Note Air 2 Plus, because I really thought I needed the front light. and I really wanted one device that I could use both at my desk and in bed to read Kindle books. And I also didn't like the subscription service on the Remarkable, but that's neither here nor there.
We haven't even mentioned the front light. I'm advocating for the Note Air 2 Plus. It has a front light that is hardly ever on, much more than this, but it makes a tiny little bit of difference.
I love it. No, I'm 100%
it,
with you. Like even in my office, in my ideal conditions, that little bit of front light is top notch.
It basically kind of
We are
compensates for the
definitely live.
grayness of the screen.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We are definitely right, my buddy. Well, maybe we should have a pause for questions. Maybe this is the. In fact, we have one scheduled. Although we're just going to have the Supernote argument first.
Yeah, give us like 30 seconds, and then we'll get to questions. I guess, Voya, before you go, I mean, the Remarkable is the focus king. I mean, we got to get that out of there, which is I can turn all my toolbars off and I can just focus. This is all you can do. And therefore, you're not going to get distracted by anything else.
You know, that thing in me, and the accessories are slick. It looks great. You know, absolutely. You can, in a professional world, that is absolutely a fantastic device. But they all are as well.
Definitely. Voya?
Cool. I'm distracted by some sounds from the background. I don't know. Did you guys hear something? Never mind. But what was the question for the Supernote and the Busy Professional? So I think that if you do struggle with the sorry, you guys do hear me, but I think
we hear you.
Yeah, I'll just switch over very quickly.
And they said we weren't live.
Yeah, this is the thing. We'll really quickly just have a look. It's not the Boox Ultra. This is the Note Air 2. This question's come up quite a lot, and Voya's going to have to chime in on this one because pixel defects on ink panels. What's the accepted maximum? I can't see any. I don't know. I honestly haven't had an experience of a drop pixel, but I've seen this talk about this quite a lot recently. Have you any experience with these drop pixels, Brandon? Have you ever had one?
No, I have 4 or 5 devices. I haven't had any drop pixels. I do sometimes run into issues with the digitizers getting inaccurate near the edges.
Right. Yeah. Is that with things like things like magnetic case and things? Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah. Don't stack your tablets on top of each other. That's a great way to have temporary issues on the edges.
As far as the pixel perfect thing goes, well, you can't have pixel perfect on an e-ink because if you want to check out some of my videos when I actually put up e-ink screens under a microscope, and basically what you have is that the e-ink screen is why it's lovely, is that it's physical e-ink cells that are black and white. So, and they are moving from the bottom to the top of the surface. So that's where they are. But here's the thing. They are of an irregular quality, irregular shape and size, and you have several of them and not a consistent number of them per pixel. So that means that you will never, ever, ever have a 90-degree sharp edged pixel on an e-ink device. And that's what I love about e-ink devices. So if that's what you're looking for, then e-ink is not going to do that. It can't do that, and it's not meant to do that. So, and that ties in also to the original question, which was the Supernote and the iPad before my camera died. But thankfully, I got the other one. I think that it works, but don't expect it's a distraction-free device that's basically sitting between right that you have it here. So if we say that the rightmost is the most distraction-free and off the screen is Kindle Scribe, which is so distraction-free that you can't use it. And then to the left, we got the Boox, which is far it is an Android-powered e-ink device. Right in the middle between those, it's still an Android. Let's not forget, there's an Android in here. It's just not so fully open that they allow you to get distracted or anything like that. But it's like a perfect balance, for me at least, between it has a distraction-free mentality, it has a unified user interface and things like that, and it has quite a bit of functionalities, enough, for my opinion, to integrate it into an advanced workflow, but it cannot replace a full-on Android Google Play tablet, and it cannot replace an iPad. So it really depends. And going back to the original question, which Brandon wanted to address, which is there a perfect device? Obviously not. It depends what you want. So especially in this case, if you're coming from an iPad, it really, really depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, fabulous. Let's fire on with the next one, which I think is going to bring up some interesting things. I noticed on your unboxing video of the Tab X that they have the tilt for pencil, and I think the sketches and note taking. You know, the way you think with a pen and pencil. Brandon, do you want to just introduce this one as this is your original use case?
Yeah, so I touched on it a bit earlier on in this call, but yeah, my use case was the busy professional looking to replace the Moleskine. And I mean, this one's not a Moleskine, but I have plenty of Moleskines. But is there something better than Moleskine, especially if you're collaborative? A lot of what I do is ideation and how do I share with folks? And my use case was I wanted one device. And I think the thing to think about is, do you need one device or can you split your use cases? So again, mine was I want to be able to read in bed. I want a fantastic note-taking experience with great sharing that is frictionless. And that got me into the Boox Note Air 2 Plus. Turns out, after you spend some time with it, one, it's a fantastic device. But two, if your primary use case is sketching and note-taking, the Remarkable currently has the best. If you want something that feels like paper and isn't going to distract you. So when I'm in my Remarkable, everything is polished to the nth degree. I very much explain it as the Apple versus Android mindset, which is the iPhone isn't going to do the latest and greatest. You're going to be a couple generations behind with features, but the things that they do decide to put in the device are perfectly polished and you're not going to bump into rough edges. And I would say that is the Remarkable to a T, which is it's not going to do everything. It's actually not going to do a lot of things, but the things that it does in a svelte way. When
they seem to wait before they add things in, don't they? They seem to make sure they've got it right before they add the feature.
You may have to wait a little while, but the things that are in here are just fantastic. Like I mentioned earlier, turn your toolbars off, and this is basically my Moleskine experience. But
and you got the Moleskine pen as well. How's that?
The Kaweco, yeah.
It's a Kaweco.
Yeah, this is the Kaweco, but I love it, except for trying to find one is the nightmare. I feel really awful because a bunch of people watched a video that I did on this, and they're like, "Hey, I want that pen." And unless you live in Germany, it's surprisingly hard to find.
So I've got their real pen collaboration Moleskine with Kaweco. Anyway, but that's a real pen. It's not what we're here to talk about. Sorry for the distraction.
Yeah, no worries. This is not the distraction-free stream.
I'm on the distraction king device. I would just. I have a bone to pick with the. I completely agree, Brandon, with the Apple side of things that and indeed what they do put out into the product is polished and for the most works really well. And I agree that Remarkable is trying to do that, but I absolutely cannot agree with the fact that what they release is polished and finished and done. And I think that the OS version 3.0 is like a shining beacon example of exactly how that's not the case. I know that they're trying and they desperately wanna sell it as that model, and that's their business model for sure. And that's my problem with it, because sure, do the minimalism thing, absolutely for it, focused, works, great. But then you have an absolute responsibility to do exactly what Brandon said, and which is, if you're going to add 2 features, they better well be polished and thought out to the absolute maximum, especially if we're going to wait like 3 months for 2 functionalities or half a year. And currently, that's not what we are getting. I'm not saying they never do that. There are examples. 2.6 and 2.7 updates were brilliant, and they were polished. They were exactly that type of stuff. But The problem is complete inconsistency. So you can have a brilliant update, polished, Apple-like, and then a complete disaster, and then something meaningless, and then up and down. So yeah, that's sorry.
But it's got the direction, hasn't it? This is the thing about Remarkable.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's agree on one thing. It does have that direction, you know, and your video I thought was excellent recently about the updates to Boox. And the tagline on the thumbnail was, you know, and that message came through loud and clear. A sense of direction is clearly missing, and it, you know, it's kind of like they want to give you everything, you know. And very early on, this can do so much, and you need to learn it to use this device well. You know, you have to learn. This is not the distraction freaking. It is not space to think, because you have to learn it. You've got to commit to sitting down and doing the learning.
That is a big thing. Yeah. I mean,
the
thing I always question myself with the books is I'll be working on an idea and I'll go, is there a better configuration setup? And then I end up in the settings and I go tweaking something. And then I realize the setting I really want actually doesn't exist yet. And so, yeah, it's a little tricky.
I think we're going to get back to
you guys. Just a quick point, because it's a really important one regarding Boox as well. All of that stands, but also, and I think both of you guys experienced that, a example of a good or a bad UX or a user experience, let's talk about UX here, not just UI, is you've used it, you've learned how to use it, you step back from it, then you return to it, and it's like riding a bicycle. True for Remarkable, true for Supernote, definitely not true for Boox. And I've been using it for a very long time, all the revisions, and I find myself consistently, because of the changes and because of that unintuitive user experience, is that I feel like, as you kid said, you have to learn it. But the problem is you have to relearn things.
Yeah.
There's an immersion break, which is you can never truly get immersed in it because you are always aware.
Whereas I've come back to Supernote after a hiatus without it. I've probably not used it for half a year, like, you know, for fully. I've obviously tested bits out on that, but I've gone back to it as my daily driver at school, testing out this wonderful new pen, testing out the latest updates, and it was like riding a bicycle, you know. And I go back every now and then, especially for drawing, which, to go back to Brandon's original use case, you know, especially for drawing, that Remarkable is fantastic, and the tool set is fantastic. You know, as someone who loves to sketch, you know, I can imagine just treating that as my sketchbook and being totally happy with it as a pen tool, and then exporting the vectors and using Adobe Illustrator to really bring that up and make it whatever it wants to be in the future. That is a great thing for sketching. Absolutely.
Totally agree.
So I guess two things there. So Voya, back to something you said about the sense of direction and the release. I think something that Remarkable struggles with is they want to have this opinionated design, and it's what makes the platform great, and it's what makes the platform challenging to use. And I think the one thing that I'd love to get through to them is you can be minimalist and there's still a place for settings. I think Linear did this big write-up on how settings are not a design failure, especially in something as personal as writing experience. I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned on YouTube is my experience is not the same as the people that reply to me, and how you hold your pen and where your hand rests and what you're writing and how long you're writing all influences that. And so a couple simple things like being able to turn off vertical scrolling gestures if you don't want them would go a huge way. Again, as the lefty,
and that's what you talk about the polish, but boy, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, again, when I'm writing and I hit this button on accident and I close out my document, that's infuriating. And people who have vertical scrolling and don't want it are doing that constantly, and it makes the device almost unusable, or at least frustrating.
Yeah, I think Brandon, you really hit the nail on the head, and I don't think that falls into polish. I think that falls exactly as Brandon said into a mindset. They want this to be an Apple-like device, and the mentality behind it is, this is when you buy an iPad, it's Apple's device that they let you use. When you buy a Kindle, it's an Amazon's device that they just let you use and show you some ads, right? Unless you paid them $25. When you buy a Remarkable, it's the same thing. It's our device, but we're kind to let you use it for this amount of money. And I have a problem with that, because give me just a Switch. Let me put my sleeping screen on it without a hack. Let me own my device. Let me do it that way. And that's a problem that I have with all of these platforms, simply because I want the device that I own to be my own.
Yeah. I mean, one thing there is Remarkable does have a great development scene, but I would love to see them open that up to people who aren't engineers, to really let you make this device your own, because
they need to
you
go
do build a
Android
relationship with.
Do they need, because am I right?
They don't need to go Android. They just need a philosophy shift of they want to welcome that.
Exactly. I mean, Linux is
the Linux operating system is amazing. And if you look at what people are doing with it, I mean, as a software engineer, and again, I'm going to annoy some people, I love that it runs on Linux. This feels at home to me. This is how I want to engineer. But again, it's their company and their brand, and it has pros, and in this case, it has huge cons. So cool. I think we have time for maybe one or two questions, then we're probably going to have to start to
should I fire? So I've got some startup from the whole kind of stream. If we just I'm just going to ping some on as we go. This one's quite an interesting one. Yeah, gallery free color does look great, doesn't it? Is it going to be quick enough? Are you willing really to sacrifice your 20 millisecond response time with a pen to get the color? That's the thing.
I don't care about writing in color. I care about reading my comics or scientific book papers in color. And for that, I think Gallery 3 should strike a really good sweet spot. And as long as
black set of pixels as well as the color pixels, right?
Yeah,
and should the black pixels be as quick as the color ones? Sorry, should the black ones be as quick as any other black ones, or?
As far as I understand, it has color cells, so that's the set speed for all of the cells. But once I get the Gallery 3, we'll see. But the whole point about the Gallery 3 is that, unlike the dreadful Kaleido, which is like putting a foil paper with ink colored papers on top, this one actually has color cells, and that should prove to be a huge game changer for digital paper stuff.
Yeah, and PS is absolutely rightly, diagrams, things like that. Color is going to be a game changer for the professionals. I think you're going to like this question. Oh, sorry, Brandon, do you have anything else to add on the Gallery Free chat?
No, again, for me, it's an immersion thing. Reading is not my primary use case, but if writing's your use case, that response time's got to be so fast, and I think we're still a ways away.
How about this one then? The best device for a game master or a tabletop RPG?
You guys take that away, because my last D&D was when I was 12, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Well, it's certainly that's sooner than my last one, because I haven't played one in ever, actually. I think it's something that does appeal to me. But you got to spend so much time on it. Is that right? You got to say,
I would advocate Supernote for it, because you can then use hyperlinks and then go to classes and all that kind of stuff. So let me just jump back into the whole thing of
We'll spotlight the Supernote once again, because I think we all do absolutely love the Supernote.
The roadmap is just fantastic. The team behind it really love their device, and it's fantastic.
I think
one other thing there is consider Obsidian, because you can keep your relationship between all your characters. Again, it gets out of e-ink territory, but something to consider. Oh, hold on. You mentioned Obsidian. Perfect.
Yeah, well, Gabriel mentions which one. I think this is going to be only the Boox line out of these three, right? That's going to run this.
I disagree. I mean, if you think of integration as direct integration, yes. I think the key thing you have to think about here is which device has the best experience getting things off of your device.
Right. Yeah,
so I would argue it, even if I wasn't advocating for Remarkable in this video, I think Remarkable has the best sharing, export, and handwriting conversion.
Yeah.
So you need to think about what your relationship is with Obsidian, which is what are you using your e-ink device for that you need to get it into Obsidian, and is there benefit in there being a manual step there to revisit and think about what you wrote. Because I'd argue that's probably why you're using Obsidian anyway, which is to reflect on your notes.
And I think that's a really good point, because you can integrate each of these 3 devices if you get your head into it and you plan well. You can devise a workflow that will do most of the stuff that we've talked about so far today.
So another question here from
All right, last one, and then we'll probably have to close up.
Oh, yeah, we've got the hard close, haven't we?
I
We've got
know.
I think we're going to do this again. Are we going to do this again, guys? Is that?
Yeah.
You let us know in the chat if you want this.
That's
I've seen this. Well, this one. I love the cat in the background. We all love the cat in there. We all wonder what that thing moving across randomly in Voya's videos is. That's
Indy, but he left. So.
Indy left. Does he have his own cat flap out of your studio study?
And now I had to let him out.
You have to let him out. Yeah, yes, of course.
Yeah.
You're doing that sometimes in the videos. I love that you leave them in the edit. Isn't that fun? But yeah, so there has been some really popular thing. Obviously, the main event is that Boox has won this debate. This is the only comment I found that declares that Boox has obviously won here, and some really good things here. So yeah, we're all fanboys. We're all fanboys of all of them, though. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
definitely.
Pick one more. There was one more interesting one that I had about a moment ago. It was the Washington DC one. If I just find it again, yeah, this one about can PDF be hyperlinked, and where can I reference other PDF in my system? Yeah,
ooh, cross PDF? No.
Between PDFs, can you not do that on the Supernote now?
No, they haven't added it yet. They haven't added links yet to the annotations of a document, but you can link from the notebook. You can link to any specific PDF document or page or whatever.
So from a notebook, you can link to a PDF
anywhere.
Right. So yeah, most people will build out like a contents page in their Supernote. Is really fab, and then you can link anywhere in the whole device, and also you can use the digest across the whole device. Is that correct?
Yep. It's a really good one because this one's well, I mostly use my MDO there, so that's my quick access, and basically that's where you actually go there. And if you have a last open document, so for example, when you annotate things, then you have a really quick overview over if your document has a
table of contents.
Table of contents. Thank you. Then you have also keywords that you can use, bookmarks and annotations, and then everything's like condensed in one place, so you can search and easily find all of those things. But it would be very nice if they added links that you also have the links category. I mean, that would be perfect. So far we don't have that yet, but with Supernote, actually, out of all the 3, it's the highest likelihood that it might actually happen on that platform.
Yeah,
great stuff. Oh, this is a common one at the minute. Why do Boox devices use Android 11 when phones and things are on 13?
Well, go.
I've always presumed it's something about optimizing for e-ink, and that's the. No, is that not right? I mean, that's why I'd love to hear your opinion. Funny, is it? So it's about licensing.
You have the CPU and everything that you see. So you have your, the current or the last gen of these things. They come with the licenses for CPU with this version of Android up to this version of Android. So that's where you actually see that the older versions of Boox devices they get upgrades. Let's say OS 3.3.1 goes all the way back to Note 2 and Note Pro, which are like Android 9. So you have this kind of situation where it's an Android 9, but it doesn't get upgraded there because of some licensing deal with the hardware that's being used in there, as far as I understand. I might be mistaken, but I think that's a large part of it. So I think that you're always going to see in Boox, unless they start actually changing their approach to these things, it's always going to be a couple of generations back.
Awesome. I just want to say we're going to have to go pretty soon. I just want to say a massive thank you for Brandon for actually bringing us together. This is Brandon's idea, so great. And I've got rid of him.
Thank you so much. Get the heck out.
Just over to you.
Thank you.
I guess just a couple things to close up. thank you to Kit and Voya for agreeing to do this, responding to my email and agreeing to get on here. Big thank you to everyone who's watched it live. I think there's 230 of you right now. Big thank you to you guys. And a huge thanks to everyone who ends up watching this later. Again, let us know down in the comments if we should do this again and what should we cover if we do this again. And then lastly, like the video so that others like you can find it more easily, and subscribe to each of our channels. So Kit Bets Masters, My Deep Guide, and Brandon K. Boswell on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for spending the hour with us. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.